I watched the most messed up documentary the other day. It was nearly as messed up as the mugs you have in your house.
Like this guy?
There
Like
it
this
is.
guy.
Oh my gosh, there it is. What?
Wait,
What?
so I don't understand this, but I also don't understand. So horror movies, like anything scary, I run away. Like I'm just
Okay,
like, no, dog.
I
Tell
know we
me.
were chatting on the gram. It's not a horror movie. It's actually based on fact, and that's what I was saying. Is that's what made it so scary. Is that it was an actual.
Oh,
It actually happened in real life. So that's what is like the most scary part about it. But the first one we watched, it was called The Tinder Swindler, and it's all about this guy, this like Israeli dude who basically like created this whole network of like fraudulent scams with women, but he would basically get like a woman on Tinder. He would pose as this like multi-millionaire, and then he would run into like financial problems, and then they would lend him money through their card, and he would just do this to like different women, but like
yeah.
he did it in such a way that he basically it was almost impossible for him to get caught. And anyway, this dude, long story short, I don't want to give it away, but this dude is still like walking the streets
Still at
because
large. Yeah.
you can't prosecute him. And then the
So
second
wait, don't give anything
documentary.
away because now I might see it. So okay, the first one, just
Okay,
to clarify
okay,
for our audience, is the Tinder Swindler. And just
yes,
to like note this, when I asked you, you're like, they're really scary. I immediately think to myself, it's like horror films, but now
no,
it's like scary events of like the real life of like getting swindled out there, like if you're on a
yeah,
dating app. So it's
yeah,
just really real. Okay,
yeah.
Tinder Swindler. All right,
So
what is
Tinder
the second
Swindler
one that you watched in succession?
in succession, yes.
Not the
in
show that I asked about.
inside joke. Is called The Puppet Master. And it's all about, again, I don't want to away too much detail, but it's all about this dude who, like, literally, he's a psychopath, and he's this like person that is still out there, like, busy potentially tormenting, like, women to the point that you won't even believe like what he did to these people. You have to watch it, and it is so messed up. It's so messed up.
Okay, so we're definitely going to link those below so
Yeah.
people can learn from these documentaries and then like apply it to their own life, hopefully, and not get
Yeah,
killed or not get swindled.
exactly,
That sounds
exactly.
good. Okay, well, then I'll definitely watch it and then we can like chat about it. I'm kind of like, I thought they were actual horror movies. And I will tell you, I used to watch horror movies. Like, it was really cool, like to watch it with like a guy you were dating, like way back
Hmm.
in the day. So, like, it was like, oh, like, I'm so scared, like, hold me,
Yeah.
And so I remember like doing that. And then after seeing like too many, I was like, dude, like this is not fun. Like the whole like help me, or like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Like that just turned into friggin' nightmares, man.
Yeah, it's not even
Wait,
sexy anymore. It's just not, it just gets to the
no,
point where it's
no.
not sexy.
You're like, what issues do you have where this is your favorite? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But there are some people that do love horror movies. And there's two things that I want to talk about: nightmares, and then also like recent show that I've watched. So I don't know if you know about Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. Do you know anything about Tommy Lee?
A bit.
But he was the
Yeah.
drummer. He was like the
Yeah.
drummer for Motley Crue, who was like a huge rock band, like just your quintessential rock star. Like Motley Crue was like one of the most rambunctious like rock star groups. Like literally like the stuff they did on tour and everything was just like next level insanity, right? So, of course, like I've always heard of like Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson, everyone probably knows who Pamela Anderson is. They probably don't know her from Baywatch. They probably know her when the who is that guy, Sacha Baron Cohen?
Borat.
He tried to like Borat. Yeah, Borat tried to kidnap her, right? Because he was a
Yeah.
huge fan. So people probably know that more than they actually know she's in Baywatch. So they were like a couple back in the day, and they ended up like releasing a sex tape. So I find on my Hulu, and there's a show. Yeah, this just took a turn, right? There's this show called Pam and Tommy. Okay. And I'm pretty sure like Seth Rogen's in it, Nick Offerman's in it, and like the Sebastian Stan, so Buckley or Buck from Marvel Universe, like the Red Soldier or whatever his name is, and then
Mhm.
this other girl who plays Pam Anderson, who actually does, they both do a terrific job. Anyway, so I'm like making Taylor watch this show with me, and it's like produced by Seth Rogen. And like we get to a point where I'm like, oh, it's taking a turn. Like they've built the story up of like what angle they're going on. Now it's more about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee and their relationship and how they met. And I'm like, sweet. Okay. All of a sudden, like it cuts to a scene where Tommy Lee is talking to his penis, and his penis is talking, and you can see his penis. Okay. I am just like, I'm like, oh my God, like what is it? Has Seth Rogen like written all over it? Like it reminds me of Sausage Party, which Seth Rogen did.
Yeah, and super
Like
super
which
bad as
is,
well.
yeah, but like literally, like I have not seen penis on a show. Like I have not seen penis on a show. Like when's the last time you saw full penis with a mouth talking to the person? Like he's literally having a conversation with his penis. And I'm just like, what, a little taken back. Like I'm not like super like, you know, conservative, or like I'm like, oh, like I can't appreciate like Seth Rogen's trying something here.
Yeah,
But I was just like, whoa, dude, like full frontal, like
that's a
full.
that's a full penis. He's gone full penis.
Yes. I think I need a link. I think we need a link, maybe like with a little asterisk, like, you know, this is like rated R or like whatever. But anyways, all I'm saying is that that took a turn, man. Like we were not ready for like full penis in our face. And
Yeah. Wait, I've got
yeah.
something to. You've just given me something to jump on here because
Oh no.
speaking of penises, no, this is a good thing. This is tied to the show.
Let's do it. Love it.
So I'm sure you're aware that on Instagram I post a lot about like the importance of, and I think we've actually spoken about it before. It's just in my memories probably, but the importance of like your sort of male genital health and how
Yeah.
that relates to your actual like physical health. So for instance,
Mm-hmm.
I know Katie Starr had said this, but like men, if you're not waking up in the morning like with a hard on and your penis is not like talking to you, let's just say that, then you've got a problem. Like your
Yeah.
body's not like responding in the way that it's supposed to. It's pretty normal
Mm-hmm.
to be like, I always say like happy, hungry, horny, happy. Like I'm sure many people have that saying, but like
Well,
it's pretty normal to actually have those urges, especially in the morning. It's a sign
well,
that
I
you've had a
wouldn't
good
even say
night's sleep.
that. Maybe you don't even have an urge. It's just like it's morning wood. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
like the most natural, normal thing, I think, for males is
yeah.
morning wood. And I think what you have is like, hey, if you're not waking up with morning wood, regardless if you're like feeling, you know, horny or whatever, right? Like if you're not waking up with morning wood, then like
Yeah.
maybe it's time to look into some things, maybe see what's going on. Like, hey, like is, you know, eating like, you know, 3 Krispy Kreme donuts in the morning like messing me up? Is
Mm,
my standard American diet where I'm eating sugar on a normal basis, like I'm not getting enough protein, like maybe I should change that. Or like, hey, like, you know, there's so many things, but I think that food, it's like literally like a response to food. Like, I don't
mm,
know about you, but me, if I eat poorly, like, so let's talk about like the times that I don't eat meat based, like what happens to me. The first thing is like bloating. I just don't feel good about myself. I feel like my stomach is almost like distended, you know? And what happens immediately is I'm no longer horny. I'm no longer going to be in the mood, you know? Like that's like the direct effect that like food has.
mm.
Whereas if I eat a steak for dinner, I might still want to after I have like, you know, a 1.5 pound steak, you know, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let's go. But with that food, I don't know if you're the same way. I mean, you probably are, but if you notice that, like even for people that are intuitively eating, notice what kind of like turns you on and like, I mean, turns you off, right? Like think
Yeah.
about what turns you off. I don't know if you've
That's
experienced that too.
that's a really good way of putting it. Actually, it's like what turns you off basically, because whatever turns you on is probably like pretty good for you. And
Yeah.
you've actually mentioned this before. It's like if you go do the research, you know, Kellogg's, the cereal company, was made by a person who considered like masturbation a sin, considered like waking up with a heart on a sin and things like that. So when you're eating that junk food, you're actually putting yourself in a position of like taking away your male power basically, and it's like just
Yeah.
taking that all away. But I mean, that's such an important topic, because when I was like at my sickest in 2019, when I was going through a really rough patch health wise, I had no sex drive. Like that was the first thing that I noticed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just had no
Same.
sex drive, desire, and it felt so strange because growing up as a teenager, you know, you can eat like shit because your hormones are just running rampant anyway, but you just like always hungry, happy, and horny. It's like those three are basically running your life. And then
Yeah.
when those like inherently like primal aspects that we have it as in us as humans go away, it feels so strange. It just feels wrong. It's
Yeah.
the best way to describe it.
Yeah. I always say that, you know, if you don't feel horny, something's off. And that's kind of like just, and maybe, you know, maybe that's a little bit extreme for people, but I think there is some truth to it. Waking up with the morning wood, being horny from time to time, like that seems pretty normal to me. Or something that people should strive for, if like that's the measurement of the health that you want to give, and that's it. Like you don't want to weigh yourself, which I totally don't think you should. You don't want to do this.
Mm,
At least be horny, man.
mm,
Like, you know, like we're put on this earth for such a short period of time, and you know, if you can't enjoy yourself to an extent, right, with like a partner that you know you love and you want to do that, right, it's kind of like, dang, that
mm.
sucks, man. Like I
Yeah.
think that kind of sucks. But also what you were talking about with the Kellogg's, right? So here's my thing, is that I was just thinking about this recently. So people think that they are empowered because they can eat whatever the hell they want. They don't care. They, you know, they're just like, yeah, like, you know, maybe I gain a few pounds, or maybe I work out really hard in the gym so it doesn't affect me. But the thing is that it's not actually empowering you to eat these Kellogg's products, right? Like they got you by the balls,
Mm,
right? Like
mm,
they have the power over you. You think you're being empowered because you're eating all this processed food and it's not really affecting you or catching up to you.
mm,
But it's like, oh no, like Kellogg's got you. You know, like
mm,
they're the ones that are in power. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And all those reports about Kellogg's and everything, those are true. They've come out. It's like well documented. It's well known at this point that you're right. Like they didn't want people to be wanting to touch each other, or, you know, like do sexual things and stuff like that. So they wanted to feed absolute BS so
mm,
that you didn't want to do that. You know, you could also make the argument for birth control, right? Birth control is scientifically proven to make you less horny, right?
mm.
So it's almost like this weird thing, which is like the opposite. Like, I'm going to give you birth control so you can have sex whenever you want, not get pregnant. But wait, hold on. But you're going to be less horny and not want to do it as much, right?
Mm.
Like we've talked about this. Once you get off birth control, it's like carnivore libido coming back, and then like off birth control libido coming back. Like, oh my god,
Just double
I'm a
whammy.
freaking high schooler, man. I'm like in high school again. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, so those two things, whew,
A-
huge improvement.
And what's important is like the role of hormones, specifically with health, because
Mm-hmm.
that's all controlled by hormones. And in fact, I saw something recently on Instagram, which I reposted, but this guy was explaining, which is what I've believed and asserted all along. And obviously, I'm not an expert doctor, nutritionist, that should go without saying, but he basically said that, you know, so many people worry about calories in, calories out, but they forget about the role that hormones play in your diet. So I'll give you an example. Insulin is the driving hormone that allows your body to store fat and use it effectively. So when you become insulin resistant, your body can't actually utilize the insulin in a way that it was originally designed to. So if you eat carbs, your insulin spikes, goes into the blood.
Mm-hmm.
It almost works like a key mechanism. It allows the cells to actually use this is a very primal way of describing it, but it basically allows your cells to actually use it as a source of energy. When you become insulin resistant, your insulin is spiked for periods of like so long that your body can no longer do it to the same effect. But what
Mhm.
what drives insulin? It's as simple as carbs.
Yeah.
Carbs drive insulin. So yes, to a certain extent, the calories in, calories out model works. It does work. It's science, it's thermogenesis. I understand that. But people forget two things, one, the role of hormones, as I mentioned, and two, it's actually the role of like food addiction on those hormones.
Mhm.
So if you are addicted to carbs and specifically processed bullshits and sugar and even seed oils, it's going to be very hard to like force yourself to stick to the calories in, calories out model. You basically feel like a rat in a
Well,
lab.
you've done it,
You,
right? You've done calories in, calories out, right?
I've
Have you?
I've
I've done
never
it
done it to the
extreme.
yeah, you've done it
Oh,
more extreme than I've only tracked food, which is
yeah.
different. So food tracking is
Yeah.
just merely like observing your food, and then you can sort of see what's like the total calories you've consumed. But I've never done it to the extent that you've done it, where you said you used to go to like 1,200 calories or something. I don't know.
Oh,
What
dude,
was your
I
range?
would, so this is gonna sound like insane. So I used to do this was like after college. I came back from New York and I was going to like community college for like a year. And I was just like, you know what? I was nannying, I was going to school and I was working out. And I was working out for 3 hours each morning in the gym, which I can't even fathom that long unless I was doing like a routine with
What were
people
you
or something
doing,
that
by
took.
the
So I'll tell you,
way?
I'll tell you, I'll tell you.
I would love
So
to know.
I this was like the least I've ever weighed, and especially coming from, you have to remember I was coming from D1 volleyball, right?
Mm,
So you have to imagine that my arms, my legs, everything was like my body was like pure muscle, right? And at pure muscle, I was like 140 pounds, right? And that I was still slender. Like I was totally just fit like a fucking, I don't even know. I was really in shape and I was 140 all muscle, right? I then am like, you know what? I'm not playing volleyball anymore. I want to thin out my legs. I want to thin out my arms. Like I just want to like trim and slender down. So in order to do that, I wanted to get down to 120. So that's 20 pounds after being 140, which is like completely healthy. And so what I would do is I would use like a calorie counter and I would put my allotted number of calories a day would be 800. That is insane,
that's
Josh.
insane. That's
800
insane.
calories a day, right? So
Yeah.
I would eat like super lean, like salads, chicken, like, all like the basic. I would eat egg whites. Whew,
Mm.
Lord, Lord have mercy on me.
It's
No, I'm just kidding.
sacrilege in in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
carnivore
So I would eat
community.
that. I would eat like yogurt, like, so all the things basically that were like, marketed to me as low calorie, right? So I would have 800 calories a day, which I do not recommend this to anyone. Like that, I just want to let you know, like, this is awful. Your body needs more than 800 calories a day, I do
Mm.
think, like,
Just to
especially if you're doing
survive, like
stuff.
just to like
Yes, just
literally
to
sit
survive.
and breathe. Yeah.
So what I would do is I would do 800 calories a day to eat food. That was my limit. And then I would always go into the negative with my working out. So
Mm.
the active amount of calories that I would work out, and I would track all of this to the T, like a psychopath, would be like I'd always have to be like a negative something. So it'd have to be like negative 500, negative, 1,000, right? So like burning more than you're putting in your body on a
Yeah.
daily basis. And I was able to lose the weight, of course, and get down to 120. But the saddest part is I felt like shit,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing an hour and a half of stair stepper, like an hour and a half of stair stepper. Like I would watch a movie on the stair stepper and just be on there for an hour and a half at the gym, like sweating my balls off. And remember, I'm like 20 years old or like 21. So like I'm like in like the best shape ever. And like, your metabolism hasn't fallen off yet. Your zest for
Mm.
life hasn't fallen off yet. Even tried being vegan. But anyways, the point is that I was literally like, you're burning too much. Like you're not actually giving your body what it needs. I was always hungry. I was
Mm-hmm.
having some issues. Like I tried doing the whole vegan thing as well during this time. Um, it just wasn't great, right? And that was kind of my relationship. And the saddest part is that even though I got down to 120 and I looked amazing, I didn't look like super thin or anything like that. It was really healthy. Like 120 for me is like a normal weight I can be. But I still felt bad about myself. I
Yeah.
remember taking a selfie of like my like I had I had a fucking six pack, and I still thought I looked fat. I still thought I looked fat.
Yeah.
Like that is body dysmorphia, like next level, right?
At its
So
finest.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would do at
Yeah.
the gym though.
So an hour stair stepper basically, and
No,
then
hour and a
like
half,
hour
90
and a
minutes
half.
every
Yeah.
day.
Oh my word. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It honestly gets so compulsive. Like when I was at my skinniest, I don't know what this would be in pounds. Maybe you could work, but I weighed 55 kgs.
Okay.
So I don't know what that is in pounds. Just maybe work that out and put it in the show notes.
I
But I
think it's
weighed,
about I think it's about 130.
yeah. So that's
That's very slender for a male.
really skinny for me. Yeah. So I had
Yeah.
no muscle on me. I was so fit though, like running wise, because I was just running like every day. And I was
Running
living,
man.
yeah, I was just running and living off of chicken salads. My mom used to make me for school. She
Mm-hmm.
used to make me like this literally, it's actually so sad just actually talking about this now, but it was like
Oh
this
no.
lunchbox about that big, and it was a bit of chicken breast, salad. And I used to sit in class just like nonstop thinking about that chicken salad because I was just so hungry. And
Yeah.
and I was fasting, and then I'd get home, I'd eat early, and I suffered. I really suffered. I wish I knew what I knew now. Like I wish I had the
Yeah.
foresight to just say, Josh, oh my gosh, man, just anybody's listening, like just fucking buy a steak, cook it the night before, cut it up, put it in your lunchbox, and there we go. Like it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
more complicated than that. Or put some,
I wonder if you're probably craving the chicken. Like whether you know it or not, the chicken is
yeah,
probably the best part of that salad because it actually
definitely.
gave you sustenance, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And in
Oh,
fact, I mean, that's a good point though, is like what sort of snacks do you, I know you said in your road trip you had the hot dogs, but like let's just say average working day for Nicole, what sort of snacks do you normally go for? Because I can tell you that for me it's biltong, which is beef jerky, but 10 times better in my opinion. So biltong. Um eggs, obviously, if I have any left over. Obviously, any leftovers from the night before, I'll go in and have that. But I don't really snack too much. So I don't know about you. I don't know what your go-to like snacks are.
yeah. Oh, I'll tell you right now. I'm actually against snacking.
Mm.
Uh, I am against snacking. And there's a couple reasons why. One, I don't have time. I need to eat meals that are big enough that are gonna last me for several hours because I'm doing other stuff. I'm either out of the house, I'm either working. The last thing that I want to feel is hungry. So that's why I don't like snacking. The second thing is I think it trains your brain to always be eating. And I don't think that's a good thing because once you stop snacking, your brain is going to be like, hey, like where is the food? Like I'm used to eating like all this, 24/7, right? Like what's going on? So if you can eat 2 to 3 meals that are actually like a good size, good portion that'll hold you over for a couple hours, cool. Like I think my smallest meal right now is the eggs that I start with in the morning. I actually recently cut out sausage just because I thought they were a little bit too processed for what I want right now.
Mm.
So I'm just eating like eggs in the morning. Then I'm usually having a steak if I'm hungry. And then I'll have steak or something else for dinner, right? But my whole thing with snacking is it just trains you to do the wrong thing. Like I think of it as this, like if you're somewhere where you can't eat and you're constantly snacking and you're literally setting yourself up for failure for that time that you're going to be gone out of the house for 4 hours and there's not going to be a good option for you to grab, right?
Mm.
So that's how I am. Like for example, like yesterday we went and looked at houses all day and I ate eggs and some sausage yesterday. We're doing like once a week sausage. um, and I
I'm not
ran
eating
out the door
sausage anymore.
because I know. I ran
Not
out the
joking.
door because like I didn't finish like my whole meal. And that ended up lasting me from 11:30 all the way until 5 p.m. when we ate,
Mm.
which is pretty
Mm.
incredible, right? I mean, like by the time 5 p.m. and we actually ate, I was starving, of course. but I was kind of like, I was okay, you know? And the same thing, like when I go to the airport, like the reason I bring eggs isn't because it's like snacking. It's more like that's going to be like my meal. Like the hard
Mm,
boiled egg is going to be my meal because I don't know what I can eat here. And you're like, I don't really force myself to eat in the morning unless I'm hungry.
mm,
So for me, like if you have to snack and you have to have something, like have hard boiled eggs. Like those, if even if you have like a little lunchbox that you can bring them in, like those are gonna stay for a long time.
mm.
The cool thing is that we can also feed them to our dogs, you know. So like if we have the hard boiled eggs, like usually like it's a good breakfast on the road for our dogs, or if like we're in a rush or whatever. Hard boiled eggs, and then like any zero sugar type of bit long or jerky or like sausages that you see. But again, like you're eating cured meat, so the fresh meat versus the cured meat, you're
Mm,
not going to have like the same, like you're not going to have like the vitamin C. You're not going to have like the fresh, maybe like vitamins that are in fresh meat versus not in the cured meats.
yeah.
Because those can stay for like such a long time. But anyways, yeah. So I'm in the camp of not being into snacking, because I think it just sets you up for failure in the future. And it makes it so you can't go long hours of time without, you know, having anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like it's more of, like you say, it's more of a meal. It's not really a snack actually. But
Yeah.
what I like to do is, because I eat so early, it's like I like to, so I have a big breakfast. Well, I have my coffee in the morning, bulletproof
By
coffee,
the way, what's
train,
a big breakfast just for like people that are listening? Like
a
what is
big
your
breakfast. I have some
yeah.
I have some really naughty breakfast, like maybe like a whole ribeye with 5 eggs. Like it's
That is
massive.
so, oh my God, I feel like I need like up Taylor's food intake.
Yeah, my breakfast is. But I mean, bearing in mind, I've just done like an hour and a half of CrossFit
Oh,
pre
that's
that.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so that's obviously like a factor to. But I mean, that's important. Like context matters. Like before I get into that, I was going to say that when I was healing myself, when I got really skinny and I had this weird virus, I still think it was early onset COVID, but who knows? Anyway, this was a long time ago. Who knows? I don't want to even go there and make assumptions, but it was 2019 going to 2020, but I was really sick. I was really skinny for the first time in my life. I've never been skinny before without me trying. So it's the first time
Yeah.
in my life where I was eating all these carbs, and I'm talking like processed bullshit, and I wasn't putting on weight. I was losing weight, and it was quite scary to see like abs that I hadn't worked for. I would look down and I'd be like, oh my word, there's abs, but I haven't been working for these. So like it just didn't feel right. Like it felt weird
Yeah.
and it felt kind of scary. So, and everyone was coming up to me and saying, like, Josh, did you eat a tapeworm, or like what happened to you? Did you get like HIV or something? And I was like, no, I actually don't know what's happening. But that was a very scary like moment. But when that happened to me, obviously like our healing journeys have been different. I was always hungry. Like I was eating so much steak, and
Yeah.
it I almost overdid it in the beginning. Like I would wake up, have a massive breakfast, have lunch, have dinner, and I would almost overdo it because I was kind of scared of going back to that place where I was so skinny. But I kind of didn't. I kind of didn't like care about it, if you know what I'm saying. It just kind of happened, and it sort of healed me. It got me to a point where I was actually putting on weight again, and I was very happy to see that.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? So that was an interesting thing for me. But back to the dinner, is that I often will have like a snack, whether it's some biltong or like an extra egg before my dinner, like an hour or two before my dinner, at about like
Mm.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because it just gets me to my dinner time. I don't know if that makes sense. Like just
Yeah.
get
No, no, I get that.
yeah,
Like if you're hungry, you should probably eat something.
yeah,
Like you don't need to like, you know, feel hunger for 3 more hours until you actually have dinner. So like I think I'm the same way. Like that's why sometimes like my schedule is like it's so intuitive that like I can't even tell you for sure like what my schedule. All I can tell you is the coffee and like the eggs and stuff after I work out. Like Like the coffee before I work out, the eggs after I work out, like that is like now like in my DNA. Like that will
Mm,
always be the case, right? But I can't tell you what happens after 12, you know. I might be like, you know what, I'm gonna make a ribeye right now, and maybe I'll split that. Maybe it's like a really big, maybe it's like a 12-ounce ribeye, and I'll want to
mm,
split that, right? But I think that as long as you're like listening to your body and you're not like depriving your body, I think you're good, right? As long as
mm.
you're not putting like empty crap in your body and you're feeding your body when you're hungry, I think you should be good, you know? Nothing has to be set in stone with food because it never it always changes, you know? So
Yeah.
that's kind of like my take on it. But yeah, I don't know. Like there's some days too where like I will chow down. Like we finally got my favorite butcher. So here's the thing. One thing I wanted to say. Steak right now in the US is at an all-time high. Something that I paid, so like the inflation is insane here right now. Like things are crap, okay? Like I'm just going to say that. Things are crap. Um before I left, so when I left for the Netherlands, in September 2020, steaks are about like 16 $17 that I would get in a pack, right? From like Alpine Butcher, for example, right? $16 a steak. And these are my really nice marbled ones. This is like, you know, top shelf, like very good steaks, right? I come home and I go to like the grocery store just to like not even get something that's like high end. I just am like, oh, I need steaks for tonight. Like, look at these ribeyes. Like, how much are these? And they're like 17 $18, like for like a crap, not sorry, I shouldn't say crap, for like the lowest type of meat
Mm.
you can get at the store, right? Just like the lowest type, right? Lowest grade of meat. And I'm like, dude, I was gone for 4 months, and now like steak, when I went to go buy it from Alpine Butcher, guess how much my steaks were per steak?
24.
$27 per steak.
Whoa.
27. And that it used to be 15, 16, and now it's 27. That is like supply chain. That's like all the issues that we're having in America right now.
Mm,
Like it's intense. Like the inflation here is insane because remember, I was coming from like the Netherlands, which I never thought this would be something that I would be so thankful for. But I was paying like €7 for like a big, just like, you know, Jumbo grocery store steak,
mm.
you know, like maybe 7, €8. And now I'm like looking at like the store and I'm like, oh my God, it's like 16 to like $19 for
That's
like
crazy.
the
And
least
that's,
one. So
is that roughly the same size? Sorry, so just give me like,
yeah, same
the
size.
same
Yeah.
size as the Jumbo ones. Oh my
Yes. So
word,
it's
that's
like, so there's
insane.
huge rates. So like it sucks right now to be probably a carnivore in the US because like now you're probably eating like ground beef, which, you know, a little bit different, but now you're like eating these like lower quality meats because now I'm like, dude, like I'm like now my meat budget just went up like $300 a
Mm.
month, you know, like this is insane.
So a question for you. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on, because this is, I enjoy this topic and it
Oh
probably warrants
God.
like a whole podcast episode on its own,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on like grass-fed versus grain-fed versus normal? I don't know if you've
I do have
spoken
an
about
opinion.
this, but what are
I have an
your
opinion
thoughts?
on
I know
this.
my opinion, but
Yeah. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, I think it's elitist to only advocate for grass fed. My whole thing is that if you have the means and the ability and access to grass fed and you can afford that, do that. Like I think you should do that as much as you can. And that's what I do. When I can afford, I mean, I can afford for the most part grass fed, right? And I can get that. Like I have the access and the means to get it, right? So I will get grass fed as much as possible.
Mm,
However, that doesn't mean everyone else has access to grass fed, right? Like that's not the reality. To have that mindset and say, "Hey, shame on you for not eating grass fed." No, that's like that's, you know, that's making someone feel bad when in reality maybe they can't afford it, you know? Like it's elitist to think that you can only do that. At the end of the day, if you are getting your beef from a grocery store, I'm not even worried about to an extent, like I'm worried about you. Like you are eating meat because you feel better when you eat meat, right? You eating that steak that's from the grocery store, like, and maybe eating grass fed every once in a while, like that's fine. You know, like I rather have you eat that grain fed grocery store steak than go and get Pop Tarts, right?
Mm.
Which are mass produced and, you know, they're made in a factory and everything, right? So I'm just saying, like, you do you. Like, no one should be telling you what type of meat to eat. Like, if you can eat from a zero, like the net zero, like emissions, right? From like the grass fed, or not the net zero emissions. What am I thinking of? The one where it's like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
the impact
like
on,
carbon neutral.
yes, yes, yes. So like if you can do that, great. But I am not going to shame anyone for who's trying to do carnivore that can only afford grain fed. I eat grain fed all the time because I don't have access sometimes to grass fed, or I don't want to pay, you know, right now $35 per steak for grass fed. You know, like I will of course sometimes, but yeah, like I just think do you, and don't let anyone shame you into not doing it, because once you start shaming people for what they can afford, we all lose. That's what I
Mm.
think.
Well, I saw this tweet the other day, and
Oh
the
no,
person shall be renamed. The
I think I
person
know who it
shall
is.
remain nameless. But actually, well, the person who the tweet was about, it's not the person who actually tweeted the tweet, but he said you don't have to move to Costa Rica and just buy grass-fed meat and give up your job and surf all day to become a carnivore. So
Yeah,
I'm sure you know who that's in reference
I
to,
know who he's talking about.
but
Yeah.
it is so true. It's like you really don't have to subscribe to the idea that you have to freaking eat organ supplements all day long, or you have to. I follow Judy. I'm with her, Judy Cho, but she says, you know, organs is like one of those things where it's not essential in her opinion. You can have it if you
Mm-hmm.
like it, but it's definitely not essential. And in some cases, it can give you vitamin A toxicity, which is like a whole nother subject on its own.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to sort of comment on that. But you don't have to like subscribe to that whole idea. And there is a narrative like on Instagram that you have to buy the best grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And if you're not doing that,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supporting regenerative agriculture.
Or you're not a correct carnivore. Like you're not a right version of carnivore.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think when I moved to Netherlands, that was like that was like a crash test for me in being a carnivore, because I was
Mm-hmm.
mainly in the beginning living off of ground beef, and I've never done that before. But
Yeah.
it worked. Like I got through it, and I was pretty proud of that. And when I finally settled and I knew where everything was and I could buy my ribeyes, like my ribeyes became, I know it sounds weird, but these ribeyes became like a moment of like mini celebration for me, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't have them every day, but I'd have them like maybe every second day, every third day. But I really like was appreciative for what it was and like how good it tastes and the fact that it wasn't ground beef. But I don't know if you feel the same. I feel like every single meal you have should be like a mini celebration, that what you're eating is like feeding your body in a good wholesome way, and you're not just stuffing your body. You know, I think there's a big case to be made for like mindful eating, you know, actually sitting down with the person you love or whatever you want to do, but actually eating your food in a way that is like it's a sacred time. You know, it's not just sitting there on your phone
Yeah.
scrolling through Instagram, because I fall victim to that all the time. I can sit there, go on Instagram with a steak in my mouth, and I'll be like, I actually think to myself, like, what the fuck are you doing? You actually look so ridiculous right now. Just put your phone down,
Yeah.
chew your food for like 30 bites, be appreciative for what it's doing for you. And I just think, yeah, I just think we've lost that a bit. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Oh yeah.
it's, yeah.
I hear you 100%. Like I'm one of those people where I'm like phones down. Like you're not going on your phone. Like I'll take a picture of my food and then I put my phone down, right? I'll take a picture of my food. Take a picture of my food once it's done and I like put my phone down and I like enjoy my meal. When we lived in the Netherlands, what happened was our like dining area was so far away from like the TV and where like our couch was to watch TV. And there wasn't, we didn't even buy a coffee table, thank God, because so we never got to eat on the coffee table watching TV, right? And so we would actually have like a conversation. We would actually sit down and like be excited about our food, right? It's almost like it's like a what you would say, like it's sacred, like it's just like your morning coffee, right? Like why wouldn't your dinner with a fabulous ribeye or a fabulous meal that you just prepared be enjoyed, right? So now we're in the US and now like unfortunately I'm at the dining table and I literally go like this and I look up and the TV is right there. So a couple times a week, right? We're now like watching TV while we're eating, which one ruins conversation. Two, you're kind of just like, it feels almost like mindless, or it feels like you
Mm,
need a distraction in order to enjoy your meal. When it's actually the opposite. Like to enjoy your meal fully, you probably shouldn't have any distractions. You can actually
mm,
appreciate it, right? Like I'm so thankful that steak is like I'm so thankful I can even get steak. Do you know what I mean? Like even though it's more expensive, like I'm just so thankful that I even still have an option to buy it, you know, and that
yeah.
I can even afford it, right? So there is something like about just enjoying the person you're with, enjoying your alone time. Maybe it's like, you know, when you eat your steak alone and you're not
Mm,
on any social media or TV, like maybe that's your time to like kind of meditate and just be like chewing your steak, like thinking about life, like thinking about maybe like you know, like, oh, what are those goals that I want? Or what does that future look like for me? Or maybe you just are like daydreaming, you know, eating your
yeah.
steak, which is also awesome. I think it could be a great, I don't know, just like spiritual connection for your mind, your mouth, and also just, I don't know, like give your eyes a break from screens because we're on them all
Mm,
day.
mm. And there's something to be said. There's something to be said. I'll never forget that when I initially like went on my like sort of my pilgrimage, my health pilgrimage, my journey, and I asked my friends' parents rather. It was 2014 New Year's Day. I was still so overweight, and I was just like, I need to change, and like that was the moment that I just decided that I no longer wanted to be that person anymore. And I asked my friend's parents, who were they were his dad was a bodybuilder, his mom was a nutritionist. Um, I don't actually know like what they were prescribing at the time, but
Yeah.
they basically said to me, I just said to them, I remember saying to them in a very hungover state, like, I want to lose weight. Their names were Richard and was it Michelle? I think it was, yeah, Richard and Michelle. And I said, I want to lose weight. And they're like, first thing you got to do is start chewing your food properly. I know it sounds silly, but they just said 30 bites a time. It sounded so simple to me, but that little crutch like changed my life, because I remember when I got
Mm.
home that day, I started eating and I started chewing my food and I started like listening to what I was eating, and I started feeling how it made me feel. And they said go low carb. They said go low carb and chew your food for 30 bites.
Oh my God, I love them. 2014, they're already like woken
Yeah.
up.
And I didn't even know what low carb was. And I think I just Googled it, and then like a professor,
Atkins came up
yeah.
probably.
And
Yeah.
Tim Noakes, who's a really interesting guy who I've interviewed. He's like a mentor of mine, to be honest with you. He's amazing.
Aw.
But he's this old like professor in South Africa who's been advocating for a low carb diet for some time now. But that was so simple. Like, you know, oftentimes I also forget that not everyone that comes in contact with our work is going to want to be carnivore or meat based. And I understand that. I
Mhm.
mean, you you might eventually find your way there like we did, but whichever path you start, I think cutting carbs in general and processed seed oils is a good start. And then the next step is just give it a try. Even you tonight, Nicole, like I like implore you to just try like chewing your food for 30 counts. It's actually a lot harder than you think.
I'll
You
do
actually,
it.
yeah, it's actually really interesting.
Scared.
You
What
sit
if it's more
there.
than 30? Wait, so sorry. So I close my mouth and it's 30 seconds that I'm chewing a bite.
So one chew is 30. So you're chewing for 30 counts. Sorry, I don't know if I made that clear. So
Okay,
one,
okay, got it.
one, two, three, four,
I
five,
thought
like
you
that.
meant like you have 30 bites to eat your food or something. And I was like, I was gonna ask. So like I'm glad we're at this point now. But okay,
Okay.
that makes sense. So like 30 seconds to like appreciate the bite. Now I'm like thinking about it mathematically.
No,
Like I
no,
have a
wait,
16
not
ounce
30,
skate. No, I'm just
not
kidding.
30 not 30 seconds. So it's 30 chews. So one chew is one.
Oh,
So 1, 2, 3, 4. So every time you chew is 30 bites
is a
of your
bite.
food.
Okay.
And then obviously you can go more than that. The more the better, because the further it goes, the more you actually taking the time to like digest your food. And a lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize is that digestion starts before you've even eaten your food. When you're looking at food, your salivary glands start salivating. Your digestion is taking place in your mouth before you've even eaten food.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
so chewing your food properly actually helps with digestion, and that's why if you sometimes get like acid reflux, or you get heartburn, or you get indigestion, like chewing gum or something, or just reiterating that chewing action actually helps, because it
Oh.
gets your stomach's acid to actually.
So I will definitely try this because I've heard this before and I think it's great to like do that. And I definitely want to, now that we're in the US, I definitely want to work on my relationship with food and like make sure that, you know, I'm having a good, like not having a good dinner, I guess, but I'm setting myself up for like the best possible sit down dinner where I feel the connection to my food, to my
Mm,
partner, to everything that I'm doing. And I'm just chumming along. If I bite my tongue, Josh, because I'm overthinking it, I will let you know. Like I'll be
okay.
pissed. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think that's great. And I think what a lot of people also realize is that like, you know, you can eat. Okay. My French friend Marina, shout out to Marina. She is so French, but like when we had her over at our house, like she is the slowest eater I have ever met. And she's probably cracking up right now listening to this, but like literally the slowest eater ever. And so like what would happen is like Taylor and I would like finish our meal at like the dinner table and then we'd like continue talking and she has like 75% of her steak left. So we're like, okay, like, and then, but now, like, looking back at it, like, I actually appreciate it. Like, it doesn't, I mean, it never irritated me. It was just a funny thing where I was like, oh, French people like, eat like so slow. But it's also like she's enjoying her food, she's enjoying
Mm,
conversation, she's, you know, like she's chewing it slowly and she's enjoying every single bite. I mean, she definitely was enjoying it until it got freaking cold, but like, you know what I mean? Like, that's another thing, but I appreciate it now because I understand that it's like the act of doing it versus just trying to fill up your stomach as soon as you can and then move on, you
so wait,
know?
are you saying the steak got cold and then she stopped enjoying it? Is that what you say?
No, I'm saying like in my mind, I'm probably not going to eat as slow
Okay.
as her because by the time she like got to, you know, like finish her steak, I'm
Yes.
sure it was like a couple cold last bites, right?
Yes.
I mean, steak is good, still a great cold, but that's just like a little joke. But yeah, but now I appreciate that. It's more than that. It's like the act of sitting down and doing that meal.
Mm,
And I think if you turn off the TV when you're eating, even if you're alone and you put your phone down and you just kind of like chill, like, I don't know, who knows? Maybe you'll have a great idea for invention. Maybe you'll realize, like, oh, the reason why I act this way is because of that trauma. Like, oh, that's so weird. Or like, you know what I mean? Like,
mm,
it'll give you the time alone you need. And like that brings me to meditation, Josh. So I've been doing this February reset thing, you know, and one of the things, as you mentioned, like just a little bit ago, was like no. So my thing is like no sugar, no processed food, no vegetable oils, right? And I think you can like say that to anyone, right? And then I also put like, you know, eat protein with every meal, right?
mm-hmm.
So I'm recommending this like not as like, hey, like go hardcore carnivore, like let's go, right? Like I'm recommending this to anyone. Like if anyone wants to improve their life, adding the protein, not eating processed food, avoiding all vegetable oils, and avoiding sugar, like it's going to help everyone, right? There's also your social media intermittent fasting that I wanted to just talk about too. But what I was going to say is that for the meditation side of things, right? So I'm not good at meditating. Like I realize that. Okay. Like I'm not. And so now my new thing is that every morning when I'm doing my workout, I go in the sauna and I bring headphones and I turn on the Calm app, right? Like we talked about that. That's how I get my sleep stories that I
Hmm.
fall asleep to in like 5 minutes. I have no idea what the stories are about. But I'll do like right now I'm doing the 21 days of calm. So these 21 days of calm, like each day, it's like talking you through, you close your eyes, you sit down and you don't have any distractions and you just like let your mind, it guides you through like letting your mind just like wander. And then it says, okay, let's talk about like non-reactivity, right? I think this is a huge one. Like for so many people, like not to get triggered by things, right? Not to react, to like hold that in. So the non-reactivity is huge for me and something that like I am working on. And like 3 days doing it, I was like, so I feel like a lot more calm, I guess, because I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a freaking hippie right now. Like, I just feel like I'm like there's been times I'm talking to Taylor and he's like, why are you so calm right now? Like, we literally just bought a house yesterday. So FYI, like we're staying.
Congrats. Oh my
Yeah,
word.
thank you.
Well
So,
done.
thank you. But like, I was just so calm. I was really hungry because like we hadn't eaten and then we had to do a bunch of paperwork.
Mm.
But I was also just like really calm. It's like it's the biggest purchase you'll ever
S-
make in your
Can
life. But like,
so
yeah,
I got a
sorry.
question for you from like a
Yeah.
from a meditation perspective, like because obviously you know me, I love this like field of talk, but like
Yeah.
what makes you think that you're not a good meditator? Like what for you is a good meditator? Because I've got the
Um,
answer to this, but I just
yeah.
want to know like
Just
what.
doing it. So just
uh,
doing it, like taking the time to actually carve out of your day to do
Okay,
it. So
so it's
that's what
taking
I
the
think I'm
time.
not,
Okay,
like
okay, so
actually
it's
just doing it.
so you're not sitting there like meditating and then thinking to yourself, I'm not a good meditator. It's more just the fact that you
Oh
are
yeah.
taking the. Okay, so sorry, I
Like
misinterpreted
just not
that.
being, yeah, sorry. So I'm just not being like consistent. Like at the end of the day, like I
Okay.
also do it in the sauna so I don't fall asleep. Like I have a habit of like if we're on a road trip and we listen to a podcast, like just because of like the car and everything and like just hearing a voice, like I'll probably fall asleep.
Hmm.
Um and I will go from laughing watching like a show on Netflix, like straight up laughing watching Ali Wong to like taking a nap, like right there. Yeah, yeah. Like, and I don't do that as much now. But my point is that I do in the sauna because like I'm so nervous to fall asleep in the sauna.
Yeah.
So, and like I want to be like in like a very like chill, relaxed vibe where like I don't want to be on my phone. And I'm like alone. I think the point is like being alone. Like I think it's
Hmm.
hard to meditate if you have like someone coming and asking things of you, if you have like a baby that's like crying or something, like you have to like be on deck, be on call. So if
Hmm.
you can get like some alone time removed from like your actual home to meditate, that might be easier for you because you can like detach, the things that you need to do in your household and being available there versus like being in a completely different place where you're like surrounded by strangers, like no one wants anything of you, you're naked in a sauna in a towel and you're like laying down, like no one's asking you for anything, you're not going to die, like. But that's for me, like that is now my favorite place to meditate because like it like helps me focus
Hmm.
on actually getting the meditation. You know what I mean? Like actually like carving out that time. Like the sauna gives me the time to actually do it. So that's what
Yeah.
I would say I like about it.
And is there specific, so you mentioned you're doing this like 21 days of less reactivity or something like that. Is
Mhm.
that the program you're on now? Is that the specific one you're doing? Or is it like a
Yes.
specific, is it like a go-to meditation that you enjoy? Is there a reason why you maybe enjoy it? Or is it just that?
Uh, I think that people enjoy things that they know they need to work on.
Hmm.
So the reason I do the meditation, that maybe is for non-reactivity, is I like to do meditation that helps me work on things that I know I struggle with, right? So if I was going to do a program that was like for grieving and loss and pain, like I'm probably not going to do that, right? Because like
Hmm.
that's not something that I feel like right at this moment I need to work on. Like I don't think, maybe, grief is not linear. I think that grief can strike you at any time, even for a past loss or a past situation. But that's not something that I'm going to seek out to do. I'm going to seek out the things where it's like, not being reactive, right? Because that's
Hmm.
something that I feel that everyone probably needs to work on it, right? like not being triggered. Like I did a story the other day about the girl at the gym, the Karen, who was like so mad because the person was like dropping weights. And I'm just like, I'm just happy to freaking beat an open gym, man. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, and she was mad at me that I didn't like play in, but I'm like, dude, how miserable is someone if they're literally pissed for someone else
Yeah.
working out and dropping weights? Like, how miserable are you
And
if that's how you want to be?
100%. And, you know, like this for me is the point of meditation and mindfulness. What you are saying is like this opening of awareness. When I first started meditation, and this was like pre me even getting into like psychedelics and all sorts of weird other things that I'm interested in. But seriously, like the biggest shift for me was I remember the first couple of days that I was doing it. It's like you say, you just enter this state of being so calm that you sort of watching everything from like a third person perspective, and you're like wondering why this person is even reacting this way because you feeling so calm.
Wait, hold on.
And
I think, did your mic just change? Because I just heard all these random things.
oh,
Wait,
that's
that was
am
so
I
weird.
am I not am I fine now?
Yeah, that was really weird though. It was like, it sounded
Uh,
different all of a sudden. So I don't know if your mic stopped or something.
is it working now? Do you think it sounds
Yeah,
okay
no, it
now?
sounds normal, but all of a sudden I just heard all this background noise and I was like, that's weird.
Oh gosh, okay. I have to
Okay, it
just cut
sounds
this
normal.
out.
No. So no, continue. So say that the opening of, you were saying like the meditation opens up. Just start with that.
Yeah, yeah. So to me, what it sounds exactly like is, meditation is this opening of awareness. Like I remember this was even, I got into meditation like pre, like my interest in psychedelics and things like that, is that it really, it was this barrier between you and anything like external. It was the most amazing feeling in the beginning. It's truly, it just opens yourself up to the world of possibilities, and you start to, like you were saying in the gym, you start to look at other people's reactions and you'd be like what the, why are you like,
Yeah.
what warrants you even like reacting
What
in that
happened
way?
to you? I'm like, do you
Exactly.
need a hug? Do you need a hug? Like what? I don't know.
No, it truly is amazing. And if you can take, it doesn't need to, it can be, the science is like proven, it can be 5 or 10 minutes, but if you take 5 or 10 minutes, like let's just say first thing in the morning, you can do it in the evening as well, but 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. And I challenge you pre-coffee. I used to do it after coffee. It made it a lot more like exhilarating, but I sometimes do it pre-coffee. It's a bit more interesting, but it makes you so much less reactive. It really does. It just takes you into your day.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think the reading does that because when I would
Mm,
wake up and like I'd wake up Jocko style super early for no reason, of course, because I didn't have to go in the office, but I'd wake up at like 5:30, get up, make my coffee in the dark, and then go turn on the lights and read like in the living room in my
mm,
apartment in Amsterdam. Like that was super like nice way to start my morning. Like I felt so, like you say, so calm. But I'm nervous to, I don't like meditating first thing in the morning because I might fall back asleep.
yeah, that
Like
happens.
because that can happen. But the second
Mm,
thing is that I also like trying this and giving this a go because if I can do something in bed, like remember, like I have my husband in bed, I have like my two dogs. So like if I make like too much, movement, they're gonna be like, oh, are we going out? Are we like doing this or whatever?
mm.
So maybe I just have my, headphones right next to me. I turn on the Calm app and I just lay in there and I just like wake up to like a meditation or something. You know what I mean? Like I think that could actually be pretty badass.
Yeah,
So I might try that.
try it. You could very well fall asleep, and like what a lot of my
Yeah.
meditation teachers have taught me is that sleepiness can be like an object of meditation. I know that sounds super
Mm.
like paradoxical, but like if you start noticing yourself being sleepy or your mind's racing, that can just be the object of your meditation. So you can actually take that. This specific form of meditation is actually called Vipassana, which actually translates into just awareness of everything that's happening. So if you feel
Hmm.
that you're sleepy in the mornings, that's okay. It's nothing to be like afraid of. It just means you're sleepy. And actually sitting there with your eyes closed, you can also do it open. Um, you just realize, oh wait, I'm sleepy, something to notice. And then you sort of just go to the next thing, follow your breath, whatever. I don't know what you specifically do, but
I'll
yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely try it and get back to you because I think there's something there. And I also would say that like I feel like the people that can't turn off their mind, like, and I used to be one of those people, I felt like there was something that needed to be healed because, like, I don't know why, but like, once I stopped caring, I slept like a baby. I know that's like
Mm,
really weird, but like, once I like let go and like cared less, and I'm talking about job, I'm talking about just like the day to day, I'm talking about like the anxiety like over controlling things and like just not knowing what's going to happen, like, and I think that happened for me once we found out that we were moving to the Netherlands. Like I kind of just let go because I was like, you know what, like I'm leaving my job soon, it's not really like, like if things don't work out or if I lose a deal or something, like I'm not worried. But there's something about caring less, which
mm,
then prompted me to do my best work. And I actually had my best performance quarter right before leaving. So it's like, it makes so much sense. And like, there's so many people out there that I think still take so many things to go to sleep, for example,
mm,
like melatonin. Like there's some places like the UK, I think, that actually ban melatonin because of the side effects that it has on people, right? Like
mm.
weird stuff like that. There's also like sleep quill, Z-Quil, which is just absolutely awful. There's so many over the counter things that I think people take for sleep that are really bad. So what I recommend is if someone can meditate, if someone can read, if someone can journal, I think journaling before going to bed is huge to just
Mm.
get it out on paper. I think that can help you go to sleep. Like if you're taking stuff now, I would just say, dude, stop. Like stop doing that and start training your body to go to sleep without it. Because the
Yeah.
longer you're reliant on, let's say, the longer you're reliant on Adderall during the day and uppers during the day, right? It's going to be harder and harder to break it. The more reliant you are on, Z-Quil and melatonin, the harder and harder it is to break it, right? And then there's also going to be any drug you take, whether it's over the counter or not, there are consequences, right?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to articulate what they are. But my thing is just try to sleep natural as soon as you can, because all of these things are going to have a side effect on you later in life, whether that's short-term memory loss, whether that's maybe like it ruins not ruins but this receptors in your brain, so now
Mm.
like you have depression. Like there's Benadryl. I remember I had a really bad allergic reaction and I took Benadryl for like 3 days and it literally made me depressed. Like it literally made me depressed. And I had a friend who did the same thing where she was taking um there's like such a Claritin, right? They were taking Claritin and then it actually made them depressed. So like
Jeez.
even though you think it's over the counter, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to come without consequences. So that's
Yeah.
what I tell people.
Everything that you take, especially from any sort of pharmaceutical or whatever, is going to have it's going to have some sort of consequence behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So if 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 your case needs an acute dose of something because something has happened, maybe that's but long-term use of these things is definitely just not advised. And
Yeah.
should maybe the next episode, meet based what 9, we speak about our sleep hacks, like things that we do
Okay.
to
Yeah.
sleep better. That would be a good
I'm
one.
totally down. Yeah. And I wanted to mention too the intermittent social media fasting that Josh has recommended. So mine is I don't go on before 10 a.m. and I get off by 8 p.m. So I've done that. I did that this morning. I didn't do it this morning. But on the days that I do it, I get so much more done. I'm like not distracted. I'm kind of just like free. Like I feel free. I feel like there's like a time that social media doesn't exist. And what I do too is like I still, if I want to take a picture of something or a video of something, I still do it, but I do it on my normal phone and then I upload it later, like which
There
is
we go.
glorious. Like there's no
There,
point. You don't need to be like on it now. Like, and I do that a lot too. Like when I go and do something with someone, like I'll try not to use Instagram, like the story. I'll actually just like record a picture or record it like on my normal iPhone, like a normal human, and then I can just like upload it later or whatever. So I don't know, like I think that even just doing that can like limit your amount of time you spent on Instagram, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
But
Well,
yeah, I love
if
it.
you, you know, thank you. I appreciate it. Like if you, I mean, if you remember like back in the day with Facebook, we used to go to parties with like little cameras and take photos, and we'd only upload the photos like maybe the next day or something. It feels like that again for me. And
Yeah.
I do the exact same as you. Like I will take photos and videos of all my content for the day in the morning, and then I will upload it all like basically during my feeding window, which is basically the time you go on social media. And
Yeah.
it works. It works. I mean, I don't I don't get it right all the time, because I know you messaged me the other day like you're like, damn, I opened up Instagram. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's like a habit. I've got this
It
it's just it's
is.
so like entrenched in my brain. My
It's ingrained.
my
Oh my God.
my brain knows exactly how to get the reward of Instagram. It knows where to go without me even thinking about it. It's actually scary sometimes.
Oh yeah, I think it's pretty scary because like it's just so like you said, it's ingrained. It's part of like our normal makeup. It's part of our normal thing to mindlessly scroll. Like I'm not getting anything valuable from Instagram. Like I'm not. Like maybe I'm seeing like a couple of your posts, some other posts like Judy's or something, and like people that are actually like adding value.
Mm,
And adding value can mean so many different things for different people. But like to me, like there's right now, I'm at a point where like there's not a lot that I'm getting from Instagram that's actually like bringing me value. So like I don't watch stories, people's stories as much, you know, like I don't scroll through as much. And that's because I'm also like limiting my time on it.
mm,
And also like I'm just trying to get out and live life and like do shit, you know? So I think, and I'm busy buying houses, seeing houses, trying to like figure out where I'm gonna freaking live. But I do have something I wanted to touch on because I'm going to forget to do this and it's really scary. So, okay, speaking of horror, uh, flashback to the beginning of our conversation, horror stuff, not whores. Okay, sorry.
yeah.
We went and saw houses yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And we always wanted a new house, brand new construction. No one's ever lived in it, right? Because you never know about dogs that lived in it, you know, like old floors, issues with the house. Like, yes, they do inspections, but you know, we wanted a new house, no problems, right? So we went and actually looked at some houses that were not brand new. And one of the houses had like all the windows open. And keep in mind, it's like 40 degrees outside, right? So you're like, okay. And we're with our real estate agent, Eli. And we go in this place and he's like, ooh, like definitely like animals have been like pissing on stuff. That's why they have the windows open so they can kind of hide the smell of like dogs or whatever. And so we're like, okay, like, nah, kind of janky. And then like we go downstairs and we see like, oh, cool. There's like a whole new like floor downstairs, like a basement area, you know, like pretty cool, like 2 extra bedrooms. And then they literally are like, oh yeah, and there's an unfinished basement down there. We turn a corner and we go into this room that is honestly a Dexter murder basement. Okay. Like people were murdered in there, 100%. Like 100%. Like I
Oh no.
literally got like this feeling and I was like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. I was like, we need to go. Like that guy up there is going to come down and murder us. Like it's just a matter of time. I was like, we need to go. We need to go. We need to get out of here. So I've never had an instinct like that where I was like, absolutely not. And there was like an operating table in the back. Like I swear to God, Josh, there was some weird like operating like PT table or something like in the background, like a doctor's thing that like you sit on, you know, like when you're at the doctor's and like they put the
Yeah.
sheet on it and you sit on it to get like your physical.
Yeah.
That was in there, but it was like the creepiest one I've ever seen. Like there was like stains of stuff on the ground. There's like a drain. Everything like drains out to a drain and it's just like concrete walls and just unfinished.
That's fucked.
It
No,
was like the murder basement.
get
So
out there.
yeah, yeah. So we saw a lot of frogs, I guess, like a lot of like old houses that like they updated some things, but it was just
Mhm.
like holy moly. Like there was one house that someone definitely died in. Um, where like you can smell it. Like I that no, like
Jeez.
someone so we were really excited about this house and we're like, oh, it's priced so low, like it's a perfect starter house, like it's a little bit smaller, but cool. and it's like mid-century modern, which I really like. And so we go into it, and immediately I'm like, no, no, no,
Something
no,
doesn't smell good.
no. I was like, this smell. And the way that the real estate agent talked about it, when I was like, oh, so like how many dogs were here, right? Because the smell was so gnarly, you'd think it was bigger dogs.
Hmm.
Oh no. She's like, oh, it was two little small dogs, and the lady had lived here 50 years. And immediately in my mind, I'm like talking to myself.
She's
I'm like,
dead. She
I
died
was like,
there.
she died. No, she died. Her little dogs ate her, and then the dogs died. And then they found this place, and then they tried to cover up the smell. I swear to God, like that is what it is. And the funny thing is that that property was so hot. And my theory is, right? So I haven't had COVID, right? Sorry, I haven't had the virus. And there's a people lose their taste of their sense of smell and taste, right? So to me, all these people that were pining over this place, one, they've definitely have COVID and they haven't got their sense of taste or their sense of smell yet, because they're buying a property where it is foul, foul. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting. And like after seeing all those old places, we were like 100% sure, like, okay, we're making the offer on the brand new built constructed house that's no one's lived in it. Like,
Yeah,
done.
that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Done. We're
so
exhausted.
so everything's signed and ready to go basically. You're just
Yeah.
waiting for the yes or no, or is it like
No,
green
they
lighted?
accepted the offer. So making
Okay.
an offer on a house, I've never bought a house. So it was kind of gnarly. And I was like, oh, there's a lot involved. But you basically just make like, it's called like earnest money. And you basically make a deposit, a certain percentage of the whole worth of the house that you pay up front as a deposit. They do a inspection in 5 days. And as during that inspection phase, if they find something wrong with the house, chances are low because it's a brand new built house. Like there are things from time to time, but the inspector goes in that's not related to me or like the builders of the house. And they go through it, look at mold, look at literally every single possible thing that could be wrong with the house, everything. And then they give me a full report. And if there's anything in there that's weird, then during that time, we have the ability to get our deposit or like our earnest money back. Or they say, okay, we'll strike off 20,000 from the house, right? Because there's this damage and you can fix this on your own. Like just weird stuff like that. And then you make the down payment, which is the biggest part. And then you make like your monthly mortgage payment. So it's interesting, but like Taylor was like a little bit like, we're obviously like it's stressful because you're like, am I really doing this? But I was so calm yesterday that I think it was almost like freaky for like the real estate agent and
And
Taylor
Taylor,
like looking at
and
me like,
Taylor's like,
why?
well,
Like,
what's going on here?
yeah. They're like, why are you so calm? And I'm like, I don't know, like I'm just happy. Like I'm happy
Meditating.
to, yeah, like I'm
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy. Like I just feel
that's good.
even though like things have opened up back in Amsterdam, which again, I wanted to mention this to you actually in the beginning. Things opened up in Amsterdam, right? Which I am just thrilled about. Like when you go back there, like things are going to be open, people are going out, the clubs are opening again, like on the I think the 12th. But like that is so awesome, right?
Yeah,
Like you saw
so
the
stoked.
UK is now treating it like the flu. Sweden is now treating it like the flu. Like we found out
Denmark.
there's a point, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
0.2% difference in the death rate with lockdowns versus no lockdowns, which was released. I don't know if you saw that report about the 2.2% difference.
I haven't.
That's now being reported, which the amount of deaths caused during, okay, if you were in lockdown or not lockdown, however you were combating, the virus over the last 2
Yes.
years, it showed there was only a 0.2% difference with the countries that did those lockdowns and the countries that didn't. So now that we know that, I hope that the whole world continues to open up, right? Because the things, I guess it weighs out like the good, like the bad, unfortunately, it outweighs the good. And I think it's a complete tragedy. Like, I think it's a tragedy that this happened.
Yeah, truly. And like the thing is, I mean, it's so misunderstood, but I'm not against, vaccines or whatever you have to do to make yourself feel safe, but I am against mandates and enforcing things on people that there's no warrant to actually do
Yeah.
that, so again, I'm fully happy that, and I hope Netherlands follows suit with Denmark and decides, okay, we don't need vaccine passports or any of that. That's the way it should be. It should be a thing that you should choose, and if it makes you feel safe, cool, but don't impose it on anyone,
Yeah.
and certainly don't think that that's going to help either. It's
Yeah.
just not just going to divide things further. Yeah.
Totally. And the reason I bring that up is someone asked me if I regretted moving back to the US because now everything's opening up in the Netherlands. And,
I
my
mean,
answer
you
was,
knew,
hey,
no,
yeah,
exactly. You knew
hindsight's 2020.
inside, but you knew
Yeah.
inside, I think you knew that things would open up again, but your heart was telling you that that just wasn't for you anyway. So I think it
Yeah.
wouldn't have made a difference, to be honest, I think.
Oh, totally. But I'm thrilled. I'm so excited for you that you're going to be going back to something that's, normal. And I hope everywhere it opens up because I think that's a huge win. And hopefully, people have such short-term memory with their own personal history and with history that people forget. But, we need to learn from this that lockdowns is not the answer, right? Yeah.
No,
So
unless
take care of
unless
yourself.
there's unless there's like some World War Z zombie shit out there
Don't,
that's
okay, that is the
unless
scariest
it's
movie to me because it's
unless it's
real.
unless it's that, then I don't want to be in lockdown. But anything
Oh,
less than that, don't tell me that I need to stay in my
yeah.
house.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, are there zombies? Are there so is rabies? Okay, can I say that I watched World War Z on a plane?
Terrible.
And I get to the plane part of World War Z for those of you who've seen it. And I'm literally looking behind my shoulder the whole time. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they're the rabies
Oh
guys in,
gosh.
in the bathroom. He's gonna come out and murder me or like, whatever. So I'm like, I have nothing to protect myself. Like I have a pen, like cool. But I mean, I don't think I slept on that flight after that movie.
I can imagine. I can
But
imagine.
yeah. Any last any last words to our listeners or anything that you just want to like we talked about so much today, but I
Yeah.
guess anything to add?
I think I think the big thing was I mean, you touching on it was the mindfulness aspect. It's just being mindful, whichever way you have to be mindful. I'm not saying that meditation is the only way to be mindful. Like you said that sitting down and chewing your food properly and eating it with your loved ones and just really dropping into the state of presence when you eat, that is a form of meditation. So there's many ways to be mindful, but I think the big takeaway for me, certainly from this episode, was the importance of being mindful and how that helps with everything else in your day.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the mindfulness like is so important because as we know, the world is constantly changing. The circumstances are constantly changing in your life and other people's lives. So all you can do is you can control how you react to things and how you let things affect you.
Mm.
Right. And just take, for example, when you see people that react poorly, like look at that and remember how you don't want to be, right? Because it's good to see someone else react that way and you'll go, oh gosh, every time that I've been that Karen or every time that I've reacted that way, people have looked at you the same way you're looking at that person now. So just, be happy that you're alive, be happy that you have access to clean water, that you have access to food. Hopefully, you have access to meat. If you don't, I that is like awful, but just be happy to be here and
Mm.
enjoy your day, take it day by day. Don't worry too much about the future, but just be here and be happy. I mean, I'm so happy. And I'm happy for everyone else that can appreciate like the day.
Yeah.
So, oh, and take care of yourself, eat your protein.
We need like a sign off line. We need to come up with one, like something. I don't know.
Oh, I
Something
know.
something
Today's
meets.
wait. Today's sign off is always be hungry, horny, and happy.
Happy. Yes, there we go.
And hungry
Hungry.
can mean drive as well as just being like hungry for food. So
I like
hungry,
that.
happy, horny.
Horny. Nice. Okay. See you guys in the next one.
Cool. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.